It is Thursday at 4 o'clock, which means we are joined by the great Mike Mayock of Sumer Sports. What's up, Mayo?
Hey, what's happening, fellas? How y'all doing?
How you doing, Mike? Happy New Year, brother.
Same to you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I have to tell you, so at that website that Mike works for, Sumer Sports, they have an AI thing that's only football called Sumer Brain. So if you have a football question that you can't find the answer to, you just ask the AI and it gives you to. It doesn't lie to you at all. So so that is a good feature on the website there, Mike.
Slowly replacing us one.
Yes, yeah.
Just be careful how you ask the question, that's all.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's what actually most of those AIs is like the skill is how do you ask the question. And if you ask it, you give it the right prompt, you get the sort of answer you want. Mike, I'll ask you the question we sort of started the show with today and pose it to you is, think about the game on Sunday from an Eagles perspective. Is this a game where, if you're an Eagles fan, you're more worried about the Eagles losing the game themselves, shooting themselves in the foot, or the 49ers coming in here and beating them?
I think it's kind of interrelated, because I think that the main key to the game is turnovers.
Okay.
And, playoffs, you can say that. Anybody could say it. You don't need me to tell you that. But the Eagles kind of got to the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl last year on the back of a heavy turnover differential. And this year they're +6, and San Francisco's -6. And I think the way I look at it, Spike, is I think they are who they are. Jalen is who he is, whether you like him or not. And we've talked about this. He's not Matthew Stafford. He's not going to be Matthew Stafford, but he's got things Matthew Stafford doesn't have, and you got to live with that. And the running attack isn't what you want. You got to live with that. I think what you do have to live with for the playoffs is, hey, it's going to be a bunch of low-scoring, close games. I think this particular game, a lot of yardage between the 20s, and it's going to come down to turnovers and who takes advantage of the red zone. And, the Eagles' offense is not dynamic, and that's what it is. I've come to kind of, I watched that Buffalo tape on offense, and I just kind of sat back and went, this is who they are. One good half, one bad half, and Vic Fangio and the defense rides in and saves the day. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Yep.
So, looking at the Eagles team, like what is if you were to pinpoint one sort of point of concern, what would the Eagles' concern be going into this game?
In this particular game, and again, I think everybody in the world knows who Christian McCaffrey is. With the injuries to the wideouts, the questionable status of Ricky Pearsall, Kittle being on the injury report, I think you're going to see McCaffrey used in all kinds of creative ways. And they got to find a way to get him the ball 25 to 30 times, and they will. And, if Kittle is healthy and able to be the Kittle that's another concern. But I think concern number one starts right there, number 23, and how effective you let him be.
Yeah, I would imagine, Mike, coming in this game, obviously the 49ers are undermanned. They're on the road. But if they have a puncher's chance, it's Kyle Shanahan and his play designs and his ability to scheme guys open and sort of take advantage of what may be perceived areas of weakness on that defense. I just don't know if there's enough there for him to work with. But he's done a good job of what he's had to work with so far this year. This Eagles defense may be a little bit much to overcome.
I've enjoyed listening to him talk about Vic Fangio and Vic Fangio talking about Kyle Shanahan this week. It's been intriguing, the respect they have for each other. And then when you throw in the 3 or 4 games that they've played against each other, and that Vic has done such a good job. Spike, I know you know the answer. What is it, 13 points or something is the most?
The 15 points. Yeah, 15 points is the most. Now, if you wanted to do caveats on it, now that was the Garoppolo game. The other games were, RG3 post-injury, Mullins,
Nick Mullins, yeah.
and I forget what the other one was. But,
Right.
10 points a game is 10 points a game, no matter who the quarterback is. So,
Yeah, I'm not trying to oversimplify it. I love the respect they have for each other, and I'm with Ike as far as the respect I have for Kyle Shanahan, and he's going to have some surprises. And I'm trusting that the Eagles aren't going to let down their defense literally and give up gadget plays or kind of trick plays that they typically won't. But if their defense plays like their defense is capable of playing, I think it's really going to be difficult for them to score more than, what's the most they can score? 17?
Wow.
And then if they can get to 17 because of offensive design and maybe Ricky Pearsall plays and maybe Kittle plays and McCaffrey, then what about the Eagles offense?
Right.
What are we going to see there? And again, I just keep coming back to efficiency in the red zone and turnovers.
Yeah.
Mike, when you look at the Niners defensively, you can look at all of the injuries and you can look at results. Numbers-wise, it's not good. What do you see on that defense that specifically you think the Eagles might be able to take advantage of?
Well, it's funny because we had this conversation before Chicago, and Chicago was depleted at linebacker and couldn't stop the run. And obviously they flipped the script that day on the Eagles. And the Eagles couldn't really run on them, and they ran for a couple hundred yards on the Eagles. So they ought to be able to be somewhat efficient in the run game, and what really stands out is usually when you watch tape of a 49er team, a couple players really jump out, like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, at two different levels there. And they're both on IR. So their playmakers aren't playing this week on defense. And there's nobody where you just kind of go, wow, watch out for that guy. It just isn't. Is it Jordan Elliott, the defensive tackle? I mean, they have a couple of defensive backs. Denomador Lenore is a pretty good player, but there's nobody in there that you just go, wow, that I'm scared of him like I am Warner or Bosa, who can change games. But the same thing goes for their defense. They're really well coached. Robert Saleh is a single high defensive coach that plays a lot of zone. They do some man stuff out of single high too. Our defense coordinator with the Raiders, Gus Bradley, was kind of his mentor, so I'm very familiar with how they look at things. And that's why I said I think you're going to see a lot of yardage between the 20s, with both teams, because I think the Eagles struggle a little bit sometimes against zone and muddy coverages and different looks. And so I just think it's going to be, I keep getting back to, and I hate being so predictable, but it comes back to turnovers and taking advantage of opportunities. And that's assuming there's no kickoff return or block punt or any kind of gadget play. That's just assuming we get, standard, and that the Eagles field goal kicker can kick field goals.
Mike, just a personal one for me here. You've mentioned Ricky Pearsall a couple of times, and all season long, Jack has made fun of me because I say that Ricky Pearsall is good. Can you please just tell Jack that Ricky Pearsall is a good football player?
He's a good football player.
Thank you.
Well, Spike was acting like this guy's a top 20 receiver in the league.
I'm just saying he's a big play guy.
He's a big play guy. You're misleading the guest.
I know. I'm trying to say that on their offense right now, with Brandon Ayuk out and all the rest of it, who is left? And Ricky Pearsall, at least he can separate. He was a first-round pick for a reason. He's got some quickness and ability to separate, but he's not a world beater either.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a good player. He's a solid player.
I got one NFL question for Mike. Shocking firing from my perspective, my old coach, John Harbaugh, down there in Baltimore. And then you get Mike McDaniels fired today. I'm wondering, I guess the question I'm going to ask you, Mike, is how many teams you think are lining up to get Harbs in there as their head coach? Because I got a feeling Miami decided to move on from McDaniels once John Harbaugh may have shown some interest down there. What are you hearing about John as the next coach somewhere?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think ironically, I think the two potentially hottest candidates are the two that just got fired in that Stefanski and Harbaugh. And you already talked about Harbs, and I love him. And I tried to get him at Boston College, and BC didn't hire him. And a year later, he was with the Baltimore Ravens. That's how much I think of the guy, both as a man and as a coach. I think Harbaugh can kind of pick his spot. I think Stefanski is going to have, it's already public. Stefanski met twice with the Giants. I'd love to see Vance Joseph and Brian Flores, a couple of defensive guys, get a real opportunity. I think they're both really good at what they do. And I think Flores, I know Brian, I think he can be a little bit of a tough ass, but I don't care. I mean, he's probably learned a little bit now that he's been in Minnesota. And, but I'm kind of straying, Ike, but to go back to your original question, I think Miami probably opened that thing up so they could officially talk to him.
All right, Mike. Well, hopefully a week from today, we're talking to you about another Eagles playoff game. We are in that part of the season where we could be talking about the end of the year.
It's a week-to-week thing now.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute, Ike. Tell me where you are on this thing.
What, with the Eagles and the Niners or Harbs?
I want to hear from Spike and Ike on the Eagles game.
Oh, I had to tell myself earlier this week, Mike, to calm down because I was too confident. Because I think this was a perfect matchup for the Eagles because of what they do offensively. They need to have somewhat of a soft defense to go up against to build that confidence. I love our defense, and our defense going up against an offense that doesn't have any legitimate outside threat. And as much as I love Christian McCaffrey, he's not the explosive runner that he used to be. I think it's a great matchup for us. I like the Eagles here by double digits, but I've been trying to keep that suppressed all week just because I don't want to be overconfident in the game.
And how about you, Ike?
Okay, so I'm a big Shanahan guy. I'm a big Purdy guy. However, I look at this game and I just think to myself, if you can't beat a team at home who has like the 27th best defense in the NFL, your season doesn't deserve to go on. So they are the one team in the playoffs right now that they could play, maybe aside from Carolina. The Eagles go to Seattle and lose, I get it. They go to Chicago and lose, I get it. They lose to the Rams, I get it. I just think that the 49ers, given their injury situation and here in Philly, I think they got to win this football game. So I'll probably pick them between 4 and 7 points, something like that. I think it'll be a close game. I have a lot of respect for the Niners offense, but given the injury stuff, I think the Eagles win this game.
Okay, awesome. Love to hear it. I've got Jacksonville, Buffalo, and I'm excited for that one.
That's an interesting game, man. That is an interesting game.
Yes.
Yeah. What a job Liam Cohen did in Jacksonville.
I'm blown away by it. I don't even know Liam Cohen. Never met him. And I can't believe the difference in Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you that the connection with the coach or coordinator and the quarterback, kind of like we had with Gruden and Derek Carr, getting Derek to play at a high level. It's so important. So, and I learned that lesson. And anyway, we're way past our time, but
no,
I'm not you.
Not with you.
You go beyond the time thing. So as long as you have the time, I think the other thing that is great with Jacksonville is when teams are able to. Like, they do have an us versus the world mentality there. And I know once the game starts, all that goes out the window. But when you start to feel that with a team, you start to wonder, it's like, I don't know, maybe they got a little something. Yeah. And that Bills team, I think Josh Allen's he's the best player in football, certainly offensively. But that team just does not seem to have it this year the way that they've had it the last couple of years.
He's the only quarterback left where I think in the AFC anyway, they could put the cape on and make that kind of difference.
Yep. He's as good as it gets.
Yep.
All right, Mike, we will talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Mike.
There he is, the great Mike Mayock.